Hey everyone, Brian Robb and Souichi Terada here from MassLive.com. And Souichi, we have quite a bit of news. The Celtics have snuck in here after a practice on Monday, and that is the return of practice for Kristaps Porzingis, who will not be practicing with the Celtics this week, but practicing with the main Celtics instead, along with teammate Xavier Tillman as he continues his recovery from off-season leg surgery. Souichi, the G League demotion for Porzingis. Does this surprise you?
I guess it's the surprise in the sense that I feel like this doesn't really happen in the NBA that much. You know what I mean? Like the rehab practice, I feel like that's more like a baseball thing. Like go down to AAA Worcester and go get the rehab assignment and everything like that. But good for Xavier Tillman. He's kind of fallen out of the rotation, so he's essentially Porzingis' practice
Yeah, why do you think
partner,
he's there?
essentially.
You think it's just like give someone
Yeah,
hard for Porzingis to work against?
I think it is, right? Like, I feel like that's more of it, even though I don't know, like 6'7" Xavier Tillman against 7'2" Porzingis is a little bit of a different matchup, but I think that's pretty much it. Like, go get some reps against Porzingis, it feels like.
And so the Celtics here, they announced this is the next phase of Porzingis' recovery in a
Hmm.
press release, and they acknowledge obviously he's going out of practice with Tillman, and then will be recalled and continue to ramp up his workload with the team. This is November 18th as we're recording this, Suichi. Like, is I know we've been hearing optimism for a while here with Porzingis, but this feels like very, very encouraging news as far as where he's at with his timeline, right?
Yeah, I think so. It initially, like, I guess my interpretation of, what, like the 5 to 6 month, I believe they essentially said when Porzingis had his surgery over the summer, like it seemed like December-ish was like a pretty like okay timeline to go with. So it seems like that's pretty much like on track, I guess. Like maybe it takes like him another month, but like that's still mid-December. So it seems pretty good in terms of like or pretty on track, I guess. And like we've seen Porzingis go through his workouts during pregame warmups and everything like that. And like he looks good, B-Rob. Like what do you kind of think about how he's looked in terms of like when we are able to see him, work out and everything?
Yeah, it he looks smooth out there.
Hmm.
And well, motion wise, it's what you want to see. Doesn't look like a guy who has been on the floor for months. Obviously, it all comes a lot easier without the contact, but that's where this part comes in. And so they can, yeah, for them to be able to take their time like this, where he's starting practice in the middle of November, like if he needs that month buffer, great. Maybe he
Hmm.
has 2 weeks and they're like, all right, you're just like you're ready. We're being cautious and you're still ready to go here. And that kind of tells me like right now when they're starting it this early in the process, where you're like, all right, you're ready for practice. Like that, I think checks off a lot of boxes from the standpoint of Brad Stevens on media day back in September was like, yeah, we are very pleasantly surprised with where he's at. And so that kind
Yeah.
of corresponds with this timeline thing. Like it certainly doesn't seem like there's been any setbacks during any part of this process so far.
Yeah, and B-Rob, maybe they are saving Kristaps Porzingis for the great NBA Cup run in Vegas. Though the Celtics need a
They got
lot
work
sooner
to
than
do.
later. Yeah. That's funny though that I guess conceivably a month from now, maybe a little less than a month is the NBA Cup
It's
in-season tournament, semifinals and finals. So I just wanted to make that joke because Adam Silver is pushing this in-season tournament very hard.
ratings, putting his return, ratings bonanza. As far as when he does come back, where we obviously are, uh, I'm certainly weeks away from when he does return at this point, but it seems like this year, so like the Celtics, they had no problems last year without Porzingis on the
Hmm.
floor. And despite the record this year of 11-3 out of the gate, I feel like you're actually seeing like, all right, they actually do need this guy to get where they want to go this year, as opposed to at least in the regular season, it seems like in terms of what he's can do for them defensively.
Yeah, especially defensively, right? Like the Celtics currently, as of right now, are 10th in defensive rating, and I think that's slipped a little bit compared to past years. I think it's interesting the way Joe Mazzulla talked about it after the Raptors game when they put up a ton of points in the paint, and he was basically like, "Yeah, but you're okay with Pirtle shooting all these floaters and X, Y, Z and all these things." But I think it's interesting, B Rob. Like I think the Celtics still have another level they can reach defensively. Like they've shown that, and obviously that's with Porzingis in the fold. But at the same time, like I'm not saying they're not trying, but like there are a few games where like I don't know. Like I was kind of curious about this after the Raptors game, but like these teams, when you're getting their best shots, like are extremely physical with the Celtics. Like what Davion Mitchell did to Jaylen Brown, like right before Tatum's game-winning three. Like that's a good example of it. Like you're not going to be able to come off, some screens and stuff like that without getting a little bit roughed up. So it's kind of like I gotta get it from the Celtics perspective, where it's like, yeah, maybe you don't want to like be in like a dogfight every single night. Like that takes a lot out of you. And like obviously they're going to turn it up, like the Cavs game. We're going to talk about upcoming. Like you're going to get up for that. But if it's like like I get that it's the NBA and you guys are professional basketball players, you need to come every night. But like I also understand like it's tough to kind of have that test every game. So like the reason I bring that up is like I wonder how Porzingis adding him back to the fold like kind of contributes to that in the sense of like, hey, now we're whole again. Like we need to get these reps throughout the regular season, kind of going into the playoffs. And like I think these physical battles are good for Porzingis, right? Like when and again in the Heat series, like when Porzingis did struggle, it was because of that physicality. So like I think adding him back to the fold, like testing him, getting those tests throughout the regular season is also important.
Yeah, that's a good point. And certainly when he comes back, like they're, I'm sure, going to try to get him as ready as possible in these upcoming weeks for that physicality. Because, like you said, that's been a constant this year. Everyone's giving the Celtics their best shot, and it's been a bit of a slog defensively for this point. So maybe getting Porzingis back gets them fully engaged here. But we'll have plenty of time to do that. I don't think we're going to see him playing for the main Celtics. Souichi, I think that would be a bit of a rehab game. Would be
That'd
we'll
be
leave that
awesome for
for
Portland, though.
we'll leave that for the Red Sox beat on that front. But yeah, but Porzingis back at practice this week. We'll keep you posted on his continued recovery all week long at masslive.com for Sweet Terada. I'm Brian Robb. Thanks for listening.